I know the Smuggler's Run DLC was just released, and it may be a little too soon to look forward to the next one, but in this video, I want to talk about some of the hints and clues that Rockstar may be leaving behind as to what the next DLC will contain. So in this video, we'll be talking about that, and we'll be talking about how that potential DLC would work and could work in GTA Online and what would be included in it. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, please drop it a like and subscribe for more awesome GTA content. Now, I'm sure you've already read the title and have formed in your mind some sort of opinion on that type of DLC. But you also may be asking yourself, well, where is this coming from? And that's what we'll talk about here first. So what are these clues? What are these hints that Rockstar are leaving behind? One of them is the last two DLCs. The first one, the gun running, it primarily featured land vehicles. And then the second one, the Smuggler's Run DLC, was primarily aircraft vehicles. So if we're going just sort of on what those DLCs are based around, you have land, you have sky for Smuggler's Run, and then to top it all off, you would have sea in the next one. So that's one reason. Now that is a very loose reason as to why the next DLC would be a water DLC. But it does make sense. Mainly though, the two hints or clues is what Rockstar added in the Smuggler's Run DLC. Now you could loosely argue that some of this stuff is Smuggler's Run related, but really, since Smuggler's Run was a bunch of air vehicles, a lot of this stuff just doesn't fit. So starting with the tattoos, there are quite a number of tattoos, and I won't show all of them. You can go into a tattoo shop and figure out which ones are from the Smuggler's Run DLC and check them out for yourself. But you can see these tattoos on my character's back. A lot of them are sea related or pirate related. There's even one with an X marks the spot. Someone even tweeted me a picture of it and said, I wonder if that means there's some loot somewhere. I doubt it, but it is something to think about just in terms of a pirate DLC. And there are other tattoos for your arms, for your legs, that also are pirate and sea related. So why would they have tattoos that are pirate and sea related in an aircraft DLC? Just doesn't really make much sense. So maybe that is one of the clues as to why the next DLC will be a sea DLC. But there's also something in the clothing. So a bunch of the new clothing options we got, you can see, have the skull and crossbones on them, which are most of the time associated with pirates. So that's just another clue as to why the next DLC will be some sort of water-based DLC. And then just being logical, it makes sense just because it's something that the community has wanted for quite some time, and they could just reuse some of the old missions and spin them in some sort of new way that maybe takes place in the water. With all of that being said though, I just want to point out that I'm not saying I would want a CDLC next. Ideally, I would want something like a nightlife or a club update or a tuners update with a bunch of cool super or sport cars, you know, mansions, something along those lines. However, it does make sense that a CDLC could be coming next. Another question you may be asking is why would someone be excited for that? You know, what reason could they give, and how would they sell shark cards? You know, at least with aircraft, they're kind of cool, and there are a lot of pilots out there, so that makes sense. And the gun running, you had the oppressor and the MOC and all that, so all that stuff makes sense. But what would really get you with this CDLC? Well, one, if they did decide to add sea life, like animals, back into online, that would get people excited for the sea, so that would increase the hype for people. But in terms of selling shark cards, what they could end up doing is adding more islands around the map, like little small islands, or maybe like oil rig platforms where your sea base would be located. And hell, they could even throw in the aircraft carrier. People would spend millions of dollars for it if we could maybe call our jets and helicopters on it, in addition to it being a sea base. So there are some big ticket items or some big ticket sales that could happen or that could go down in this sort of DLC. So it does make sense that this could happen. Now, let's talk about what would actually be in it and how it would work. I just wrote down a bunch of things that came to mind when I thought of a sea-based DLC, and you guys in the comment section can let me know maybe what you would add to this. But of course, you would have to add some land to water vehicles. They have a few amphibious vehicles in the game, but give us some better stuff in addition to the technical aqua and the little four-wheeler that can go in the water. You know, give us some supercars, maybe some sport cars that can go from land to water. That basically become sport boats when they go in the water. You know, give us some fast ways to travel around in the sea and on land. These next two are kind of obvious, but you would have to have some attack boats and attack submarines. Some throwback vehicles they could bring to the game from previous GTA games. You have the hoverboat from San Andreas. Maybe you could have that be another big ticket item. That could be like $5 million, and I know I would spend money for that because that thing is awesome. And especially if you could customize it, put some weapons on it, that would be really nice. And the Sea Sparrow, the helicopter that lands on the water. Both of those would be great additions. Now, like always in every DLC, you would have some regular cars just to sprinkle in there to get everyone happy. Maybe there could also be an upgrade to our yacht. I don't really know what they could upgrade to our yacht, but that's an option. The yachts haven't been touched in over a year, so maybe they get some sort of update with perhaps mini games. Like I mentioned, the possible aircraft carrier. Maybe you can choose between a yacht or an aircraft carrier out in the ocean, or maybe they just add it as a stationary base out in the sea. We've seen it glitched in online, so it's possible. So just have it out there so there's more stuff in the ocean. Some other things. You could have a luxury submarine, so instead of attack submarine, you have a luxury one that maybe holds 5-6 people, and it's just nice inside. You could have boat trailers that attach to your car. I mean, a lot of the newer cars have all the trailers attached, so that's something that would totally work. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're those little motors that you hold on to when you're underwater that make you go faster. So that's pretty cool. Scuba Gear, of course. That is something that would be necessary in this update. If you want to talk about weapons, I'm not sure how some of these might work, but a harpoon gun, I mean, that would just be a fun little weapon to have. You could have mines that activate underwater, basically like proximity mines for underwater. I think there's some sort of gun in real life that shoots underwater, so maybe they add some underwater guns that maybe don't do as much damage on the surface, but underwater they do more damage. Maybe with one of the submarines, they can make it like the MOC in that there's an interior and you can have guns and all kind of cool stuff on it. Some other clothing options, you could have some cool pirate suits or pirate outfits just for the fun side of it. You could also have some wetsuits, maybe some surfer suits. You could have a bunch of new hairstyles, perhaps. You have to have some sort of property, so why not give us some underwater layers? If that is too much, then fine. Make the properties just either on the coast or, like I did mention, spawn some new islands. Or put some oil rigs or something out in the coast. You could easily come up with some way to explain it in-game, but throw some more stuff out there so the ocean isn't as empty as it is now. I mean, just that alone, I honestly wouldn't be mad with a DLC that included all of that stuff. Obviously, what they could do in this hypothetical DLC is exactly what they've done with the last few DLCs. They could give us some sort of storage option for our boats where we can customize them. And I'm sure for the missions, it would be similar to that of gun running and the hangar missions. I mean, when it comes to the missions, there's some really unique ones they could do. You could break into the humane labs via that underwater tunnel, which I believe happens in single player. Maybe one of them you have to search underwater in your submarine or in a submarine to find something, and that could get you exploring the ocean a little bit. Maybe one of them, if they do include the aircraft carrier, you have to pose as a officer and go in there and try and steal something. But if you get caught, they all start shooting at you. Like, there's some really cool and unique ideas for missions, although it'd probably be the same sort of go here, grab this, bring it back, and then sell it for a low amount of money. But still, the missions are what make a lot of this stuff really fun. And then look, I know we don't want more adversary modes, but a perfect adversary mode for that DLC would be a battleship mode. It would basically be like the board game, but in GTA Online. So there's, I think, some really cool things that could be done in a sea DLC or a pirate DLC if done right. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this. Well, first, I guess, let me know, do you think that the hints and clues are hints and clues do you think that Rockstar are sort of teasing what the next DLC is? And then you can answer the second question, which is, what do you think of the DLC I just mentioned? Would you like to see something like that in GTA Online? Anyway, that is it. Thank you all for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more awesome GTA content. As always, though, I'll see you guys in the next one.